Alright, I have been meaning to do a series of short video tutorials explaining various tools or techniques that I use that might be helpful to you. A lot of them are meant to overcome very specific problems, either with a sewing ability or a technique or explanations in pattern directions or things like that. So hopefully these will be little things that you might find useful. For this first video, I'm going to talk about my personal favorite tool that I've purchased for sewing in a very long time. It was something I found out about completely randomly in a magazine, and I freaked out and had to find them, and it's helped me so much. What it is it's a little magnetic seam guide. All this does is it just snaps onto your sewing machine. Now, most sewing machines have a guide right on the base plate here, right next to your presser foot. They tell you where 1/2 inch seam allowance is, 5/8, stuff like that. But sometimes when you're sewing around curves or complicated shapes, you're too busy worrying about that the fabric doesn't pucker or pull around here, or that you get a smooth stitch, that sometimes you lose track of staring at this part too, because you have to watch so many different places. What this allows you to do is to set it just wherever you want the flat end of whatever the seam allowance for the pattern you're working with is. And that way, as long as your fabric is always butt up against that, you'll know that the seam allowance is correct. I just leave mine generally at the 5/8 inch because that's what most commercial sewing patterns have on them already for seam allowance. But if you're working on perhaps like plushes or doll outfits where they only have a 1/2 inch, or if you're doing your own patterns, like in theater we usually leave a full inch of seam allowance around everything, this allows you to set that all the way out. And it's just one less thing that you have to think of when you're sewing. This, when I originally heard about them, were really hard to find. I had to order one online. But now you can buy them at Joann's along the Notions wall. They're made by Dritz. If you don't know where to look, just ask someone. But wherever they carry Notions, and it's generally right next to sewing needles, you should be able to find this. It's, I think, a $5 tool, and it's the most useful thing you can have for sewing because it gives you one less thing to worry about. If I could pan the camera around and zoom in on every sewing machine I have one of these attached to it. I've bought like 4 of them now. So I hope you find this helpful. I hope it's something that could help you if you're having problems with paying attention to so many different things like new sewers do. Because there's just so much to concentrate on at once. And yeah, I hope it helps you.